Hey, do you want to launch your own business? Do you work for the man right now? Are you are you taking what they're giving because you're working for a living? Bonus points if you got that reference. You have to probably be at least over 30 some odd years old to get the reference. But hey, are you working for the man? Are you tired of your labor and your ideas and your insights and your innovation being used to enrich the fat cats? I think I've painted the picture well enough here. Do you want to leave your job and launch your own business? It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. There are a lot of things that you need to consider, not just financially, not just as it pertains to having a product, doing market research, developing a minimally viable product, and getting it out to the world and supporting you and your family with it. There's more than that. There's an emotional toll. There's a social toll. There's a risk. And then all of the emotional tolls that are associated with risk, making the transition from being employed to being an employer, whether you are self-employed or an employer of others, a leader of men and women, it's a stressful endeavor. It's not easy. Like I said, everybody would do it if it was easy. So if you're interested in someday ever making that switch from being employed to being part of corporate America, to being an employee, even corporate, private, governmental, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're looking to make the switch from being an employee to running your own business, there's a lot of information that you need to be armed with. There's a lot of tools that you need in your toolbox, and there are a lot of considerations that you may not even know. You don't know what you don't know. So you need to lean on the experts. You need to lean on people that have been there. And our guest today has been there. Greg Fischer was part of corporate America, and he had a distinguished career in corporate America. He was a higher up. He worked his way up. He had a solid foundation, a safe career, sturdy career, reliable employment. But he was missing something. And so one day he goes, or at least it seemed from the outside, he goes from corporate America to launching a business and selling products and doing a darn good job at it and leading the way and then coaching other people on how to do that same thing. So if you've ever wanted to make that switch, you got to pay attention to this conversation I'm about to have with Greg Fischer, co-founder of Burn Pit BBQ, because he's going to tell you, we're going to talk about two things, two sides of the coin. First, we're going to talk about the spoken and unspoken tolls and considerations of making the transition from being an employee to being a business owner. And then we're going to talk about his company's foray into retail distribution, and in particular, national retail distribution. So there's a little bit of a value point for everybody here. It's going to be a really informative conversation. This is a guy that has not only done it and been there, but has seen success and continues to grow and scale a very successful business. You want to stick around for it. But you don't want to hear me talk anymore, so we'll get to Greg right after this. Hey, welcome everybody to our weekly Office Hours live program. My name is Adam, and this interview and conversation and dialogue is brought to you by the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. If you are watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, doesn't matter, please join us, engage with us, ask us questions, tell me how good I look. Tell me that the pink in the background isn't a good color and I need to switch it to green or something. I don't know. Let's just chat. This is an open dialogue. If you have questions, more importantly for Greg, our guest, who I'm going to introduce in a second, make sure to throw them in the comments. We will answer your questions live and in real time. And if you don't catch it live, you can see this video in perpetuity on YouTube, and you should follow the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber on YouTube. Subscribe to us. All the cool kids are doing it. But without further ado, Greg Fischer, co-founder of Burn Pit BBQ. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing well, Adam. Hey, thanks for the introduction. I don't know if I can live up to all that, man.
It's half the introduction and the fanfare of like the music that gets everybody pumped up in the intro video. I really dig your cutout metal Burn Pit BBQ thing behind you. You've got quite the setting. How did you make that? Did you buy that? Where did that come from?
It's actually a gift. It was a gift from my father-in-law.
Okay.
And a few months after we started, he gave that to me and my co-founder Ben, and it's awesome. I think it's from Precision Metals USA. I think they do that. Yeah.
I think that's great. That's a great touch. And I think just an aside, I read on a social post somewhere, somebody had said that we should treat business launches similar to how we treat baby showers. And I thought that was the greatest idea, to give somebody a gift for launching a business. Mm-hmm. Talk about somebody that needs not only something cool like a metal, logo in the background, or like a copy machine, or the essentials for business, and a lot of things that people may not even consider. What were your essentials when you made the switch from corporate America? The things that maybe you didn't know that you had to spend money on and get. What have been your key pieces of hardware?
Yeah, I think for us as a startup and, launching primarily on e-commerce, like just those startup costs for, domain name, launching a website. And then also for us, we ship physical products. So packaging materials, label printing machine, some of those things, incidentals that you might not think about when you do that. Other things, again, just office materials that you think you might need. And for us, creating a space, here in my home, I needed to build out a little bit more of an office space. Like you see behind me, this is something that we had to build and put together. So construction costs come with that too. So just a lot of things that if I could probably go back and think about it, it'd probably add a couple $100 than maybe what I was expecting.
Right on. Yeah. Something that sneaks up on people, and I know it has for me in my entrepreneurial endeavors, is digital startup costs, subscription fees. It seems like there's no free software online anymore, and that stuff is valuable. And golly, does it ever add up? You almost have to, yeah. Even
like with this, finding a good quality camera for these types of interviews, and a microphone that I'm not using my computer microphone. I bought an external one that I can hook up, so we have good quality picture and sound. Like those things you don't think about until you actually get into the business and start doing these types of conversations.
Absolutely. And it all contributes to the overall, polished product, which is a reflection of your brand and your product, which is, I might add, I have Burn Pit BBQ products in my house and have used them to great acclaim. My family loves it. It's a hit.
Awesome.
The All Ration, if you check out burnpitbbq.com, I'm going to put their website scrolling on the bottom here in a second, but their All Ration is outstanding. That's just like a general, like a seasoned salt, but like the good stuff. And then they have a ground pounder that's like a garlic salt that I use for a dry rub on wings. That's just out of this world. So what got you there? Were you experimenting with creating spices in your house over the last 10 years or so? Like, what took you from corporate America to barbecue? How did you get there?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, I guess. I started barbecuing and grilling about 10 years ago. And, I was just like everybody else, just starting out. I'd go to the store and I'd buy, the prepackaged rubs and sauces and all that kind of stuff. But, as I started getting better and trying different things, I started creating my own at home. And I'd actually give them away as gifts for holidays, Christmas, that kind of stuff. I'd package a few of them up, in the kitchen, and then, give them as gifts. And they were kind of a big hit. So, that got me thinking, well, maybe we can turn this into, more of a business. And as much as I love giving away this stuff for free, maybe some people would pay me for it. And it kind of, it kind of snowballed from there. Just kind of starting some side businesses and then trying to go into this full time.
Right on. So you started by creating rubs and spices, sauces, whatever, just giving them out as gifts. That's a great personalized gift. And then you decided I can turn this into a business.
Mhm.
At what point did the realization hit you like, oh crap, I am actually leaving this comfortable and secure and safe corporate job for,
The
blissful but
unknown.
terrifying uncertainty?
Yeah.
What was that realization like, and how stressful was it for you and your family?
Yeah, I think the realization was as soon as I told my boss I was putting in my 2 weeks.
Was
That's
he
when the
shocked?
anxiety.
He or she shocked?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. For people that know me personally, this might have even like people close to me. This was probably a little bit more of a shock, maybe a little bit of out of character. Throughout my corporate career and throughout my life up until this point, I've been pretty kind of by the book. I joined the military out of high school, went to college, got my degree, started in a corporate environment, and worked my way through that. Kind of the textbook American dream, so to speak. And
Yeah.
this type of huge shift was maybe a little bit shocking to most people that knew me.
Was it shocking to you?
Once I made the decision in my mind to move on and do something different, not really. I've always been one to kind of challenge myself and do, be a little bit different. I mean, not everybody goes into the military, right? Not everybody then comes back and gets a degree and then, moves on to other aspects of their career. But, for me, I don't think it was that big of a leap, but maybe from the outside, from people who know me on a personal side, maybe it might have been out of character.
Did doubt or fear ever creep into your psyche and either delay or derail you or your processes? And if so, how on earth did you overcome it?
Yeah. That's a great question. And one I actually speak with a lot of people about is, fear of the unknown. And for me, it actually took me years to get to that point where I felt I was ready. I always felt like I could do this, but those things like, what am I going to do with health insurance? Because that was through my employer. I have three young boys and a wife to support. And I was, a primary breadwinner. How was I going to, pay the bills? So there's a lot of those things that I had thought about over the years, but, something, kind of, I don't want to say snap, but something came together for me in August of 2020 where I felt like now was the time to try this thing out. And I put together a small team of people to help me through that transition. And, here I am today.
And what did that team look like? And how did you lean on them? And how did they help you make the switch?
Yeah. So first and foremost was, my family, my wife. I had those conversations with her up until this point. It wasn't just me making the decision. I had a lot of open and honest conversations about what I was going through and what I was thinking. And she was totally supportive. But then for me, the big pieces were finances and healthcare. So I have some people close to me. I'd always been in the financial planning realm of the world. So I had a great financial planner, Mindy Wilkie at Northwestern Mutual, who would help me get me prepared enough to be able to say, hey, I have some money saved up here. Why don't I use this to try this dream out? And then also healthcare. I have a good friend, Chris Martin at Benefit Awareness, that walked me through all the options for healthcare for me and my family. And once I saw those numbers and once I got that information, it made it a lot easier to make the jump.
So you were like, once I make the switch, I have to sell 50 of these every month to make ends meet. Is that kind of what it looked like?
Not really. Cause for me, I had, due to some good financial, advice and planning up until this point, I had a little bit of a cushion saved up. So for me, it was more of a timeline. So I have this that will last me this long. And this is what I'm giving myself in order to make this thing work. And so far it's been good. And I haven't had to dig into it too much, but each month where I can not have to dig into that is obviously another month where I can continue to build this business out.
And did you give yourself a deadline? Did you say like, look, if this thing doesn't work by X date, I'm out and I'm grabbing my briefcase and putting my tie back on?
Yeah. I gave myself 1 year. I did.
Okay.
Yep. So I said, if I can make this thing start to work within a year, I'll keep going. And if not, I will go back, not pausing this thing or not, putting this thing on the back burner, continuing to do this, but then also making enough to support, my family's needs and my needs, financially.
Right. Okay. So kind of almost a revert, like a lot of people, they'll start a side hustle and hopefully grow it to the point where they can make it their full-time job. But on your end, you made it your full-time job. And if it doesn't grow how you had hoped, you just kind of revert it to a side hustle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And I actually had a few side hustles while I was working in the corporate world that helped prepare me to at least make that jump. So I wasn't starting fresh from, the e-commerce world. I'd had some e-commerce businesses in the past. So I felt like I had enough information and knowledge to be able to kind of hit the ground running, and that I would never do this full time if I still had a corporate job. So I wanted to dive right in.
And where are you revealing this information? From the outside looking in, it looks like you've more than started to get this thing off the ground. How are you feeling now? August is coming up. You're about 4 months away from your year mark. What do you think?
Well, since obviously I gave myself that timeline, it's shifted each month with me not having to dig into my savings to be able to cover costs. So
that's good.
I still have that year timeline as of right now. So now it shifts to, okay, now I have till April of 2022. If things, so each month it shifts, and I'm constantly, reevaluating, the business and then also the personal side of things to see how it's going.
How important was it for you you said you had the dream of this and were wrapping your brain around it for years before you pulled the trigger. And there are a lot of people that dream for a lot of years about doing any number of things, but you actually put some wheels in motion and prepared. Most important, you made some financial preparations. You created a nest egg. I assume you paid off some debt. You created a foundation. In addition to financially, what other considerations did you make to not only prepare yourself for the transition, but to get buy-in from your family?
Well, I think having those things in place. So again, being transparent with my spouse, say this is what we have. This is my vision for where we're going to go. And then again, having those guardrails, if things aren't going as planned, this is what I'm going to do to make sure that we have everything we need. So, again, the biggest thing is healthcare, right? So making sure those costs are covered in case something happens, that's very important to us. Right. But then aside from that, making sure that the quality of life that we've had so far doesn't take a huge step back just because I'm changing my focus. And that's important for me to show my sons that, even if you do take a risk on yourself, you don't necessarily have to take a huge step back with how you're living. So those are some things that I had to keep in mind, and those are the things we plan for as well.
You should always bet on yourself. That's the best bet that you can make. Yeah. But I mean, the most preparation you can do in advance, the easier it is to get buy-in and to make that switch. Some people get, paralyzed by preparation, so you got to pull the trigger eventually. And I'm glad you did. It's been really awesome to see Burn Pit BBQ take off, seeing you online. Your digital presence is getting huge. I mean, and I was shocked to learn, like, his ad spend to get followers is like nothing. He's getting organic growth from people that love his products and from people that love their marketing and their image and what they represent as a veteran-owned company. Where did the name Burn Pit BBQ come from? Where did that brand idea come from? Because really, I'm jealous. I'm not going to give anybody numbers, but I am jealous at how easily you're converting people and getting people to latch on to this brand. Where did it come from?
Well, I'll be honest. The name came from a good friend of ours, Dan Newberry, over at the VBAC.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't know that. Dan was a guest on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So he was one of the first persons, one of the first people to know that I was leaving my job and I was going to be starting this. And I was brainstorming some stuff with him, and he actually threw out the name and actually helped design one of our first logos. We redesigned it a little bit, but the sign behind me and the name. A lot of that originated from Dan.
Wow.
And burn pits, for most people that might not know, is those are things that service members have served in Afghanistan or Iraq. There's a lot of kind of not good press around burn pits because of the things that veterans are going through. But
Right.
it's kind of a little bit of military humor there for us, veteran humor. And we love the name and decided to go with it.
Man, it's been insanely effective. Dan Newberry, the co-director of the Veteran Business Outreach Center for Wisconsin, Illinois, and Minnesota, was a guest on Office Hours here a couple weeks ago. And it was great to chat with him. Just another evidence, another bit of evidence that proves that Dan Newberry is more than just a fitness model and what you see online. He is a brilliant business mind and has a great knack for marketing and branding, as evidenced by that. That's really cool information.
I think it goes to show, like, as I share my story, I mean, I've gotten help along the way from a lot of different people. So everything we've built has been kind of this community organic type of growth that, if people are thinking about making the leap, I encourage people, to reach out to their networks and to the people that they know, to let them know about their dreams and their vision, because, I wouldn't be here without letting people know what I wanted to do and them helping me along the way. So I think that's a huge piece. People get too much wrapped into their minds and their thoughts. Start putting it out there and letting people kind of latch on to where you're going.
Yeah, don't be afraid to put it out in the air and to speak it into existence, to manifest it, as is a buzzword these days. We're talking with Greg Fischer, who is the co-founder of Burn Pit BBQ, a veteran, a great guy, a guy that transitioned from corporate America to running his own business, which has scaled successfully now since it launched. And so if you have questions, please, no matter what platform you're watching on, if you're watching on Twitch right now, let's be best friends. Give us a follow. We're here to provide value for you. You'll be one of the single digit followers on Twitch. We're getting in there while it's not a crowded field, where I think we're the only veteran related content on there right now, non-political veteran related content on there right now. So drop us a comment, ask Greg some questions. This guy's an open book. He's got answers for you. So you mentioned the financial preparation, and that was important to get buy-in and make things more comfortable for the switch. What kind of market research did you do? There are a lot of spice companies and barbecue companies and sauce companies. I mean, you knew you had a solid brand. You had confidence in that. That's hard to it's hard to quantify, though. What kind of market research did you do? How did you determine that there was a minimally viable product, that you had not only a market for this, but would be able to compete?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So one of the exercises that we did before, or right after we launched, was, we put together a full-fledged business plan. So with that comes market research. We looked into the trends of the industry. The barbecue and grilling space is a global industry that has continued to grow each year. Yep. And we felt that we had a brand and then also a product that we could at least begin to put ourselves into that space and be successful. Obviously, we're still growing and still working on that piece. But a lot of our competitors, they have products that have a lot of preservatives, have a lot of additives, a lot of fillers. And for us, what's important to us is having an all natural product that we're proud to serve our families. So one of the ways we differentiate ourselves, again, from our competitors, is that our products are all natural. They're gluten-free, no preservatives, no GMO. And they're all also bottled here in the state of Wisconsin. So we wanted to keep it local. So those are some of the things that we wanted to do, that we knew that we could break into this industry. Even though it's very competitive, there's a lot of opportunity there. With competition comes opportunity. So that's what we saw when we did a lot of market research here.
Outstanding. And you answered my next question, and I didn't even need to ask it, which was going to be, what sets you apart? And if you're launching a business that has any competitors and you can't articulate what makes you different or better, you need to sit down and reevaluate and put pen to paper or reconsider. So yeah, that's a super good point about what sets you apart. Good to hear that, and good to wrap your brain around that. I love the local aspect. I love the no preservatives aspect. And we'll talk about challenges in your packaging when we get to the retail aspect. And I do want to touch on that, but we had a great comment from Raymond. He said, if you're not embarrassed by your first presentation, you waited too long to present. Okay, fair enough. That's probably in reference to our talking about waiting, preparing for too long, being paralyzed by preparation. So, but it sounds like you put all your ducks in a row and put forth a great product from the get-go. From an operational standpoint, let's talk about entering the retail market. On the front end, if you could go back in time and tell July of 2020, Greg Fischer, dude, you really need to consider blank before you launch, what would you tell him?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say we really needed to focus more on the boots on the ground aspect, because when we launched, it was, we had our sole focus was e-commerce. So we launched our website. We were shipping products to customers. Retail wasn't on our radar. Boots on the ground aspect wasn't really on our radar until we got invited to a local craft fair. And once we got into that craft fair, we're like, hey, let's give it a shot, see what happens. Those are some of our biggest days. So those opportunities that weren't even on our radar just happen to be some of the most successful things that we've done. So I would say just, look at outside the box to whatever you're thinking that you think you want to do, and then see what other opportunities are there.
Yeah, there's on one hand the what you think you want, and then on the other hand, that's where the fates, the cosmos decides that you're going to be most effective. And so you're saying you thought you intended on going fully e-commerce and shipping related, and hadn't really considered local distribution, and that ended up being a shocker that you had to pivot on. How hard was it for you to kind of let go of your original vision for what this was going to look like and make the switch, or was it easy?
Well, when you're having success like that, it's super easy, but it just was another piece that we had to add into what we were currently doing. So our focus will still remain on our website and e-commerce, but then we also added in this piece of looking for small local retailers that be willing to try our products out and put it on their shelves. And they're also looking for opportunities for craft fairs, farmers markets, things that we didn't really think about before we got into the space. That would be another way for us to get in front of people to build our brand.
So if somebody comes up with a product, if somebody comes up to you and says, Greg, I want to do this product and I want to sell it nationally, would you tell them, would you say you cannot neglect local distribution? You cannot neglect your boots on the ground. You have to be grassroots, at least from some of it, and then the two will cross pollinate. Is that the advice that you would give, or did it just specifically work for you?
Well, we always wanted to kind of have a local flavor. We wanted to dominate kind of our state and our kind of our communities, and then grow organically through that, in pockets that we have family, friends, and all that kind of stuff. So still within our circle of influence there. But I wouldn't say, unless they have something already strategically built out, there's always opportunities to build nationally when you first launch a product. For us, it's important that we stay local and then grow from there. But no, I would say, look at other opportunities. There's always great opportunities where you're at and living if you have those products available. Some people that we know are competitors are strictly just on Amazon. They provide their products to Amazon, and Amazon does the fulfillment and all that kind of stuff for them. We're not there yet, but it might be an opportunity for us down the road.
So you hope to be in the Amazon chain or even larger distributors? Great comment from Jackie. Greg is definitely making the family proud.
I appreciate it, sister.
Okay, that's your sister?
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, very cool. Truly a family operation and a local operation. I think it's really cool to see the impact that you've had locally, and like I said, how your brand has really captured people nationwide. From a distribution standpoint, and I think where I'm trying to push you on this one. What challenges have you faced in distribution that maybe you didn't see coming?
Well, I think one of the things that we didn't see as big of a challenge as it has come to be is the Postal Service. And we ship our products through United States Postal Service. We know over the holidays they got backed up 3-4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So those types of things, missing delayed packages to the extent that they were, wasn't something necessary we had planned for. We had kind of seen the writing on the wall because we're at the post office every day dropping off packages, and we could see the lines, and we tried to prepare for it. But I'd say we probably prepared better than the Postal Service. And then also, when we launched our first sauces this year in January, so prior to January, we were only shipping our rubs and seasonings, and those are come in plastic bottles. Well, when we shifted to and we launched our sauces, those sauces were in glass bottles. And as you can imagine, we went through some growing pains of shipping glass bottles across the country through, again, the Postal Service, which maybe has some areas that they still need to work out as far as handling. So we would
handling
just
of product,
respectful handling of other people's packages. I'll leave it at
fragile on the side of it.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So I think about half of our initial first shipments out to customers, they either had one or all of their bottles break.
Oh no.
So going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, the way we shipped these didn't work at all. What can we do? So we did a little bit more research. We found out, how some of these distribution centers operate as far as conveyor belts and drops from conveyor belts with packages and stuff. So then we had to kind of redesign and go back and say, how can we get our products to our customers intact so they have a good experience, and that we don't have to, again, ship them at our cost a new bottle. So those are some of the challenges that we had early on this year.
So how did you overcome, obviously, the delays, for example? You put your product in the hands of a third party in hopes that they will complete the transaction for you. And seeing that third party wasn't necessarily able to follow through on their promise, how did you mitigate that? Did you just stay in contact? I know at least locally, you were hand delivering. You were driving and hand delivering some of these items in the state of Wisconsin, at least. Well, how did you mitigate that and overcome that as a company? Because it doesn't seem to have really damaged you.
No, for us, the customer was always first. So if they were to receive, broken bottles in their packages, we would ship another one right away. And then we would work behind the scenes with the post office. And honestly, we're still working with them to try and submit some of those claims and get reimbursed. But I don't see that happening. So for us,
you're still submitting. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're still submitting and trying to get reimbursed for claims from January of this year.
Yeah. And we've been denied multiple times. So I think that's a sunk cost right now. But for us, it was more important for our customers to, get what they ordered and not have to worry about the post office and that kind of stuff. So we would send them new products right away. And then we'd follow up. We'd be in constant contact with them to make sure the next package got there intact. And then, from there is just kind of providing that customer service I think we'd all expect from an organization. We care about our customers. We care about our products. We want to make sure that experience, it's already bad because their products are broken in transit. So we want to, try and alleviate some of that stress and get them something that they've already paid for.
I just want to say it was prior to everything being shut down from COVID. I remember a buddy of mine had purchased some Burn Pit BBQ products, and was shocked that after it was ordered, you just drove it right to their house. You just delivered it. Wait, was that pre-COVID? It was.
No, we launched during this pandemic, so everything's
okay. So right, all right. It was not pre-COVID, but the earlier throws. Have we really been? It's been. Golly, I just had a time warp moment. Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
Goodness. But anyway, so earlier in the year, he purchased a product, and you showed up and hand delivered the thing. And just to put a name to the face and say hello and introduce yourself. Do you think enough people put that personal touch on, especially for online sales? How valuable is that personal touch to you?
To me, it's very valuable. People are taking a chance on us to deliver a good product because we're new. So, we've had over 400 online orders, and every single one of those orders I've written a thank you note. So each order you get a thank you from me, handwritten. Yep. Handwritten from me. So over 400 thank you notes have gone out to customers who've purchased our products. And then also, I like to, if I'm available and somebody lives in the area, I will find a time and work with them and deliver it, maybe even so they can save on shipping costs. So it doesn't cost them the money that we charge for shipping. So those things, I think those small things will add up over time and creating kind of, customers for life, so to speak.
Absolutely. Those touch points are so important. I mean, you're talking my language. I'm a big fan of the handwritten thank you note. When I was a nonprofit fundraiser years ago, I loved writing handwritten birthday cards and thank you notes. And I took things a crazy step further. I got a metal stamp with a custom logo made, and I bought wax, like with colored wax, and I would put a wax seal stamp on every envelope. And it was a conversation starter. People would write me an email or call me or text me or even send a letter back saying like, I've never seen an actual wax seal stamp before. Took me 2 minutes to add it to a row of 20 cards.
Yeah.
And even after somebody reached out to me and with a picture of what the mail distributor machines actually do to the wax seal, I decided to keep doing it because sometimes it wasn't destroyed. And if it was, that was at least a conversation point. Somebody would say, hey, thanks for the card, but your wax seal just got obliterated.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, but that personal touch is super important. Boy, I could talk to you for hours here, Greg. So for anybody that's watching, that's interested in retail distribution nationally, locally, or even not doing retail, somebody that's thinking about making the switch from corporate America or being an employee to owning their own business, what would you have to tell them? What bit of advice overarchingly? What's kept you sane? What's made this successful for you? How do you do it?
Yeah, for me, once I made that choice in my mind that I was going to go all in on this thing, there was never any second doubts. I haven't had any doubts since I left and started this in August that this is going to be successful. So for me, it's all about staying in the process, enjoying the process. It's supposed to be fun, even though sometimes it's challenging. Trying to remind myself, not everybody builds a business, $1 million business in 3 months, like a lot of the advertisements and books that are out there.
Aren't you supposed to launch and start up, and then 2 months later you get bought out by an angel investor, and then you just live out your days? And that was
actually I actually wrote that into my business plan, but it hasn't come to fruition yet. No, but it like building a brand and building a business takes time. So whether you're doing that on the side as you're continuing your career, or whether you jump all in, kind of like I did, it's not going to happen overnight. There's going to be challenges that you can't control. And just remember that, the customer or the client is the one that really matters. So at the end of the day, that's kind of how I look at it, and similar advice is what I'd share to people that ask me about my journey.
Right on, man. Some great nuggets of insight in there for today, Greg. Appreciate you joining us again. For those of you that you may or may not know, months ago when we started doing office hours, Greg was one of our first guests, and that was kind of before we let the videos live on in perpetuity on YouTube and whatnot. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to see Greg and listen to his insights and his experience in an evergreen fashion. So burnpitbbq.com. It's scrolling across the bottom there. Check it out. I have personally purchased and sampled their products. I have a Burn Pit barbecue stocking cap that I just love.
Nice.
Every product they have is quality. Everything they have is quality. Get their rubs. I mean, I'm telling you, put it on your chicken, put it on your meat, like get their site. It's all great stuff. So be sure to check it out. burnpitbbq.com. Greg, I'll ask you to hang on the line here for a second, but gosh, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks again.
Oh, I appreciate it. Wow, a lot of great insights on that one. We'll look forward to seeing everybody next week on Office Hours Live with the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Same place, same time, 11:30 a.m. But wait, don't go. Hey, you, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. I think you should subscribe to the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce on YouTube. I think you should do it. I think you should follow us across all platforms, subscribe to our newsletter and all that fun stuff. But in particular, subscribe to us on YouTube. All right. We need to get over that 100 subscribers point so we can get a custom URL and push our great, valuable information to the masses. Information like the great information insights that Greg Fischer, veteran, awesome dude, co-founder, Burn Pit BBQ, just provided for all of you. If we did provide value for you today, let us know in the comment section of whatever you're watching on. Give us a like, give us a follow, and we will see you next week on Office Hours Live. Thank you.